vacation.
Okay.
I will be making a clipboard announcement again.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. So happy to see you here. Isn't this amazing? I mean, yes. FOOF is pleased to have Reverend Dennis Reynolds join us today for our grand reopening. Reverend Dennis is a favorite guest of our fellowship, and today will be no exception as he explores why we go to church on Sunday. As Reynolds says, let us ask ourselves the question and look into our minds, hearts, and souls to deeply ponder how our faith serves us and how we may continue to serve it. Good morning, everyone. My name is Catherine Hemmons, and I am your service leader for today. Sally really wanted to be here, and she had a prior commitment out of town, so that prevented her, but she will be here next week. Wow, look at all of you. I mean, this is really incredible. Yeah. So grateful to be in our new surroundings. We had a wonderful opening night, a party on Friday. People were able to see the almost finished product of months and months of planning and work in our new home here at FOOF. I'm sure there'll be more during the joys part. But now I want to remind you that we're standing on the land of the Siuslaw Indians. We are grateful to the stewards of this land, past and present, their history, and acknowledge our debt to them. If you will join me now in singing our opening hymn, Spirit of Life, page 123 in our hymnal, as we always have, and as we are doing now in our beautiful new space. Rise if you are able. Thank you, Brooke. I love all the the little movements you do with that. I would like to thank Xana and Jean for handing out the programs and greeting today, and Jeff Lovejoy for the beautiful music and our piano. Yay! Yay, yay, yay! Wow. I just want to remind you a couple of things. Cell phones, if you could remember maybe to switch them off. And please remember to remain fully masked during the service, except when you're up here behind the podium if you would like to take them off. Inside the program, you'll see birthday announcements and other upcoming events, the fog hike. You know, the fog hike on Wednesday morning, it brings so many people first to that, and then they kind of make their way into this congregation. I think it's just great. So thank you, Deborah, for continuing that great service that you do. Are there any other announcements? I know, Deborah, you have one, and Zana, you have one, and Karen, please come forward.
Well, I'll try to be as brief as possible, but I actually have a whole bunch of announcements. Okay, thank you.
There you go.
Is that better? Okay, so first I want to let y'all know that we have a fairly large collection of these cute little candle holders available for you in the library. They come in all different colors to match anybody's home decor. So after service is over, please go into the library and take as many of them as you can use. Okay, and I'd like to elaborate a little bit on the mask policy. The board set a new mask policy starting now. Masks are still required here in the sanctuary during services, and the rest of the time they are optional. So on Friday evening, we had our first time to meet and have food and beverage together since pre-pandemic, and it was great. And it's great to see this crowd here today, getting back to the numbers we had pre-pandemic. So after services today, when you go next door to the cafe, there's food and beverage available, and masks won't be required at that time. I wanted to point out that we have some actual living plants in some of our windows now. And as I'm sure you all know, plants require light. So if for any reason you need to close the blinds on the 3 windows where the plants are located, please remember to open them again before you leave so our plants can survive back there. We have several places where there are recycling barrels throughout the building. The blue ones are for recycling. And in our setting here, that's mostly clean paper and beverage containers. Any used paper, like napkins and stuff like that, has to go in the trash. Okay, I also wanted to take a moment to thank all the people who helped to make this new sanctuary, this whole new building, well, not new, but refurbished building possible. First, our designer, Tim Belleville, worked on this hard for a year and a half. Places of assembly like this have some of the most complex requirements in the building code, and even the people at the building department don't know them. So it required a lot of research and a long time, but Tim hung in there with us and got it done. I also wanted to thank our contractor, Juan Maldonado, who was amazing. If any of you need a good contractor, let me know and I can give you his contact information. Steve Young, Catherine's husband, has been amazing. He's been on the job from the beginning through the end. He's very creative and very talented, and always comes up with a clever solution to all the little problems we were having. I also want to thank George Regato, who has worked hard on many aspects of this project and made it possible for it to be affordable for us. I also want to thank Jay. Jay has put in a lot of hard work. He kind of missed the middle part of the thing, but at the beginning and at the end, He was here and is always willing to pitch in for some of the hardest work we had, like scraping the old adhesive off the concrete and that into the building. Fun things like that. And then we've had quite a few other volunteers who have come in. Renee Dayton showed up at just the right time with her experience in the building trades and has been able to help us out. Lydia has been here to help in many ways. And let's see, who am I forgetting? I'm sure I'm forgetting quite a few people. Oh, Catherine and Sally were here to help spruce the place up towards the end here. So many people have pitched in a lot of ways. And if I left anybody out, I'm sorry, but thank you to all of you. And now that we have this newly refreshed space, the next course of order is to figure out how we are going to maintain it in its nice, fresh, clean condition. So we're going to be trying a new system and see if it works for us. Last year we tried hiring a cleaner and it didn't work out as well as we had hoped, and it's hard to find reliable people who will do a thorough job for us. So what I've done is, now that I'm done being project manager, I'm back to being your friendly building coordinator. So anytime, any questions you have about supplies and their location and availability, about any donations you're considering to make, and on that note, I'd like to say that we actually have all the supplies we need right now, and we are trying to right-size them to the available storage space. So we don't need anybody to bring any supplies or donations at this time. What we can use is a donation of your time and effort in maintaining the place. So supplies, donations, building reservations, keys, cleaning and maintenance, design and organization, any of those things you can see me about. And this is our sign-up sheet for our cleaning crew. We're going to need 9 people, and it's on a month. We're going to try it on a monthly basis rather than a weekly turnover, which takes kind of a lot of work to keep up with. So what we're asking is for 9 people to sign up to do one job for 1 month. And each job takes only about 10 to 30 minutes of your time out of the week. So we're going to need 3 people on kitchen duty, 1 person to clean the bathrooms, 1 person to vacuum the carpeted areas, 1 person to sweep and mop the hard floored areas, someone to dust and straighten things up a little bit, someone to sweep the sidewalk and doormats out front and the window ledges, and someone to collect and remove the trash each week and the recycling at the end of the month. So I'm going to put this sign-up sheet over next to the name tags on the window ledge there, and if you're willing to help out in any of those capacities for the month of September, you can sign up on your way next door to the cafe after services.
Why not pass it around now?
Yeah, I can do. I didn't want to interrupt. Do you want me to pass it around?
I would put it there because she has some to pass around.
Okay. Yes, Santa is our friendly hospitality coordinator, and she has another sign-up sheet.
First of all, I want to really thank you, Deborah. For those who don't know, she is the president of our board, and she took on an amazing job to see this through. Lots of frustration, and what results she got. Thank you so much.
Well, to follow that up, speaking of volunteers, I thought I was the volunteer coordinator. I like hospitality better. Yeah, I think that sounds a little nicer. But having said that, yes, volunteers, we're going to need a lot of volunteers. Look at the crowd we have today. We need greeters. We need people in the kitchen on Sunday morning to make coffee. If you go back there today, you'll see snacks that are left over from Friday night, mostly desserts. People really like to bring desserts, and that's fine. But next week, if you want food back there, folks, somebody's going to be bringing it, okay? So we have a brand new sign-up sheet for that kind of thing. I took all of you who already signed up to be greeters and transposed them to this wonderful new sheet that Sally made for me. And it has on here meet and greet. And actually, you know, with a crowd this size and as we get bigger, 2 greeters would be really nice because it's a lot for one to handle back there and without getting a bottleneck at the door. So if you want to sign up with someone else that's already on here, but we also have 2 pages here to completely fill that will take us through the rest of the year on greeters. So I really need your help with this. Bring snacks. We need 2 people every Sunday to sign up for that. Remember the good old days when we used to do that? And we had all these wonderful, delightful things. Well, now we have a wonderful cafe to have them in. So bring your snacks. Someone to prepare the coffee in the morning, and a couple of people to do cleanup after service and keep it nice and tidy in there. So, yes, I am going to pass this around. Also, for our greeters, I know last week I said take one of these sheets with the duties. Okay, well, throw that one away, okay, because I have a brand new one. We've added a couple of little tweaks to our greeter duties. So they are in the back of this clipboard. So even if you've already taken one and you've already signed up to be a greeter, please take one to review your responsibilities. And I am going to pass it around. Okay, thank you.
I'm so glad that it's Santa, not me. 2 things. With all the movement that has happened, you know, being gone from our facility and stuff, people are telling me that they're missing name tags. If anybody wants a new name tag, can't find their name tag, I make name tags. So please see me. I have a little piece of paper. I'm going to write people's names down. The other thing is on September 18th, and this is going to be news to Lynn, but we're going to do a new member orientation. We have a couple of people who are looking for membership, and there might be others. So if anybody has questions that they want to ask about attending FOOF or what Unitarian Universalism is, et cetera, come here on the 18th after service, and we will meet. Thank you.
So I have a couple of things. I heard on NPR today that my home state of New Jersey is the first state to have mandated K through 12 climate change curricula. Yeah. Now I have finally something else to crow about besides Bruce Springsteen. Yeah. And on the climate change, we're going to have a program here this afternoon. A lot of you probably already know. I hope you can all make it. We had 2 people coming from Cottage Grove, Tal O'Ryan and Richard Sedlock, who are working in that city on the climate change issue, and they have a lot of expertise and are coming to Florence and are going to right here, right on our stage, this afternoon from 2 to 4 p.m. Hope to see you all there. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. That was a whole lot of information, especially the first part. So I know that Deborah and Xana will answer any questions that you have, and a lot of that had to do with just coming back home here. So, okay. Let's see here. Oh, I would invite Xana up to our chalice. As I share the words from John Gibb Millspaw, leave aside the little thoughts that distract you from the depths of your soul. For this is a holy place, and now is a holy time. Join with others in this room, this community of seekers. Together, let us find our Sabbath. And Xana will continue with joys and concerns.
Thank you. And this is the time of our service where we remind each other of the power of community. Look at the power we have today in here. It's awesome. We stand as a witness for each other and reach out in compassion if called for. So this is your time. I invite you to come up if you have a joy or a concern. We have our other microphone over here, and we now have our shells to be dropped over on this side. So if you want to come up this way and share a joy or a concern, drop a shell in the water, and we will listen with loving ears. I'll begin because I'm going to share the joy again. Friday night was awesome. I tried to count heads, how many people we had here for our open house. And between Sally and I, it was, 60 to 70 people in here just having a wonderful time and sharing and enjoying our new space. It was just really uplifting and joyful.
Can you hear me? Okay. We're going to get the logistics right, but this is over here. So I guess we would line up over this way to do this.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is our first time.
Yeah, I'm actually with the care committee and just wanted to give a heads up that we're going to fire up the phone list again and make sure that we're reaching out to anyone who may need reaching out to. So if you have someone that you want to make sure is on the list, be it yourself, a loved one, a neighbor, whatever, just let us know and we'll follow through. But we don't know unless someone helps us and points us in the right direction. So any assistance would be appreciated. Thank y'all.
Drop a shell for all of those.
I would rather go around. Anyone else?
Anyone else?
Hello, everyone. My name is Colin Miller. My wife and I, it's our first time coming in today, so thank you. It's Annika. So I wanted to share a joy in that when we first moved here about 2 years ago, given life, COVID, everything, we didn't really make it in. And as a partner to a wonderful woman, she's been wanting this in her life quite a bit. And so being able to come and do the party on Friday and then come here today, I don't know, it's been pretty great. I'm really excited. So, honey, I love you, and thank you everyone for supporting us with kids, and I'll say they'll be loud, but we're going to make it work, so thank you very much.
I'm Jackie Rosen, and my husband, Jim Mickle, in the red shirt there and the black mask, are from Ashland, from the Rogue Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. Roof. And we're so glad you're here. I have a lung disorder, and my doctor said, you can look pretty good on the outside and not be so good on the inside. But I feel fine, so that's the important thing. And I'm the membership person and do the caring team, and we're I feel we're struggling, but we're starting to have in-person services. So seeing all the wonderful stuff you've done is just fantastic, and we're excited. And excited for you. And I also kind of feel fearful because of my lung stuff if we have more smoke. We didn't this year because I planned the whole summer. But knowing you're here, and we've gone with the fog hikes a couple times, and we're so grateful for the acceptance we found. Thank you.
Hi, I haven't been here in a while, but I'm so happy to be here, and I just wanted to make the announcement for people who may not know that Phyllis Kuntz passed in May, and I'm making a donation today in her name because she had some furniture that I've been trying to sell, and then the money is going to food, which is what she wanted, and I just want you all to say a little prayer for her because she was the one who made coffee for you for many, many years. And I'm sure her spirit is here and very happy to see this new space.
Thank you, Anna. Yes, we did mention it in Joys and Concerns, but thank you for reminding us. Anyone else? You know, I forgot to ask if there are any, oh, you're short. I forgot to ask if there are any new people here today. And if you'd be willing to stand up and say your name. Okay. Oh, wow, look at this. All right. Go ahead, please.
My name is Jessica Ford, and I bring greetings from the UU Fellowship of Corvallis.
Thank you. Go ahead, please. Okay, thank you.
My name is Rick Crook. I live east of Medford, up in the hills toward Klamath Falls, but my wife and I own a little lot here, so I'm camping out here trying to figure out what to build. I was a member of Unitarian Universalist Church both in San Diego and in Rochester, Minnesota years ago, but now we live too far away, so I'm not really with the church. So glad to find her here, and loving community, and congratulations on the new building. Maybe we'll see you more.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. And as you can see, Xana is passing out this little gift we have to you, a book of haiku that was written by one of our members. Beautiful. You're welcome, you're welcome. Please go ahead.
My name is Annika Miller, and that was my partner, Colin. And my children are Davis and Leah. I've been a member of Unitarian congregations, East Rose, Portland, Willamette Falls, and we're really excited to be here. Thank you so much for welcoming us.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
I'm Vanessa Marston. This is Lynette, and this is our first time here.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Really. Glad I didn't forget that part. Oh, Colin, yes, yes. Yeah, right. So happy I didn't forget that part. That's the most new people we've had in a while, so that's great.
And one more.
Oh, yes, yes, please.
Hi, I'm Bonnie. I'm kind of new to Florence.
Okay.
Just thought I might as well use this opportunity. I don't have a car, so I'm looking for a bicycle. If anyone knows, I got a ride today to come here. I'm just about a mile from here. But,
All right.
I lived in Mount Shasta before and in Ashland, and I haven't felt called to go back there recently because of, the forest fire. So it is a little challenging just showing up in a new place, but
Right.
I'm glad I can check it out today. So thank you.
Thank you, thank you. I will go back to Joys and Concerns. I did forget one thing. Roy Plummery. This is a concern or this is a sorrow. Roy Plummery's, Ray, I'm sorry, Ray. I know him. I actually know him well. Ray Plummery's older brother, Sam, died unexpectedly and in Chicago. And so Ray's not here today, unfortunately, but let's send him all of our wonderful healing feelings that we can. Okay?
I just want to add one little thing. We have really short people here today, little ones. What a joy to hear those little voices, right? And I think maybe it's time to start thinking about developing a child's program. I have a couple people in mind who might want to do that. Not mentioning any names, Rayma, but so that we can really be open to more of the community. Bring your children. They're just such a wonderful blessing to us, aren't they? Thank you for bringing them. The last shell is for all of those we don't know about. The shy ones, the depressed maybe, the lonely, the ones who are too proud to reach out because they have always been the strong ones. And the ones bursting with joy also. Maybe they're out there enjoying the sunshine today, and that's fine too. We're thinking of them as well. I will close with this writing from the author Anton Saint Martin. You are one thing only. You are a divine being, an all-powerful creator. You are a deity in jeans and a t-shirt. And within you dwells the infinite wisdom of the ages and the sacred creative force of all that is, will be, and ever was. And so it is.
Thank you very much. Now I'm going to turn this over. Actually, we're going to start with the next hymn, hymn 360. Here we have gathered, but then after that will be a meditation in words and in silence by Reverend Dennis. He will go on to the responsive reading, number 591, and then his message for today, Why Church? So I'm turning this over to Reverend Dennis. Thank you so much.
Please rise in body or in spirit for the hymn 360. Sometimes I have the opportunity in other congregations where I serve as an itinerant preacher, that this would be the time in the service where I'd offer a story for all ages, which is pointed particularly towards those ages. And so I'm making a pledge now that next time I'm invited to be here, I will bring a story for all ages, and I mean them as for all ages, because sometimes our inner child is the truest voice for us to listen to. I also want to make a recommendation to parents. If you don't know the work of Leo Leone, Do you know his work, Frederick and Swimmy? He's a profound theologian and also an incredible children's book author. You folks, will likely hear some Leo Leone from me at some point in the future. When I served the congregation in Klamath Falls, where there was a small group of children who came regularly, there was one little boy who, one Sunday, just before I began the story for all ages, looked up at me and says, "Reverend Dennis, is this going to be another Leo Leone?" The answer on that particular day was yes, but then next week I made sure I had something different for him. The other voice we listen to are that voice of quieting that exists within all of us as well. And sometimes that quietest voice may come from the inner child. It may come from the wisdom we've gained from the ages. So I invite you now to settle in whatever way is comfortable for you. Often it's easier to breathe more deeply if your legs are uncrossed. If you sit a little straighter with your spine a little straighter, but this isn't the time to suck in the abs. This is the time to let the stomach relax and just let the breath flow. And I want to share at first some words from the Reverend Kathleen Mateague, who's the director of our Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, and then invite us to just sit and breathe and be quiet together. Here in the refuge of this Sabbath home, we turn our busy minds towards silence and our full hearts towards one another. We move together through the mysteries, the bright surprise of birth and the shadowed question of death. In our slow walk between the two, we will be wounded and we will be showered with grace, amazing, unending. Even in our sorrows, we feel our lives cradled in a holiness we can't comprehend. And though we each walk within a vast loneliness, the promise we offer here is that we do not walk alone. This is a holy place in which we gather. The light of the earth brought in and held, touched then by our answering light. The flame on a chalice, the flicker of a candle, the lamp of open faces brought near. In this place of silence and celebration, solemnity and music, we make a sanctuary and name our home. Let's breathe in and out for a time of shared silence together. Let's do one deep cleansing breath together, in and out. As we move from that silence into a time for words. In the back of the hymnal are all those quite amazing readings. And the one I'd like you to turn to with me this morning is number 591. I call that church free. And what I want to do is do it responsively, which means I'm going to read the regular type, and I invite you to respond with the words that are printed in italics. I call that church free. I call that church free which enters into covenant with the ultimate source of existence.
That sustaining and transforming power, not
It binds together families and generations, protecting against the idolatry of any human claims to absolute truth or authority.
This covenant is the charter and responsibility and joy of worship in the face of death as well as life.
I call that church free, which brings individuals into a caring, trusting fellowship.
That protects and nourishes their integrity and spiritual freedom, that yearns to belong to the Church Universal.
It is open to insight and conscience from every source. It bursts through rigid tradition, giving rise to a new and living language, to a new and broader fellowship.
It is a pilgrim church, a servant church, on an adventure of the Spirit.
The goal is the prophethood and priesthood of all believers, the one for the liberty of prophesizing, the other for the ministry of healing.
It aims to find unity in diversity under the promptings of the Spirit that floweth where it listeth, and maketh all things new.
The promptings of the Spirit, where it bloweth as it listeth. Those final words from our reading are drawn from the King James Bible, from John 3:8. The wind bloweth where it listeth, and thou hearest the sound thereof, but canst not tell whence it comes and whither it goes. In more modern language, we might say the Spirit, the wind, goes where it desires. It blows, it breathes, and we know not where it comes from or where it goes. We know not. As one of our contemporary hymns expresses it, mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. We in a free church commit ourselves individually and together in community to explore that great mystery. By the way, the King James Bible that many might recall from our childhood and that has in so many ways shaped our culture was commissioned to affirm the power structure of that time. Little factual realities. It seems that James I, who was a Scotsman who came to the throne of England, commissioned the writing of a new translation of a Bible, not only to replace the kind of clunky version they were using in the Church of England, but also he wanted to create an alternative to the Geneva Bible used by the Puritans, which sometimes called into question the notion of the divine right of kings. For some reason, James wanted maybe a different Bible. The effort began in 1604 and was completed in 1611 and exceeded the king's highest expectation. Of the 47 scholars who did the work not only created a new translation, they crafted some of the finest poetry in the English language. It's good poetry. I don't take it literally, but it's some pretty good poetry. Now, in particular, poetry aside, though, the Puritans who came to America in the Great Migration, 1620 to 1630, came here questioning that divine authority of kings. Though the churches they established in the then Massachusetts colony were not what we would call free, they are our theological ancestors, and they began us on a journey towards the free church we now call our home. In particular, they lifted up that notion of the prophethood of all believers and the priesthood of all believers. It was a belief that the search for truth and meaning resides within all believers, within all individuals, not some higher authority, be it a church authority or some divine authority out there. This notion has become our current fourth principle, to affirm and promote a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. James Luther Adams, who was the author of that reading, was perhaps, in my opinion, he was the most significant Unitarian theologian of the 20th century. He was a professor of theology at both Harvard Divinity School and my own alma mater, Mimo Lombard School for the Theology. And in his teaching and in his urging his students to ponder deeply, profound impact on a whole generation of Unitarian and Unitarian Universalist ministers who shared some of his thoughts and their own reflections with congregations across the land. His description of the Free Church was written as a kind of update, a response, as you will, to an earlier affirmation written in the 19th century by the Unitarian minister William Ellery Channing. Channing titled his piece, "The Free Mind." In a time closer to our own, JLA, which is what we called James Luther Adams at seminary, as though he was some buddy of ours. He had walked the halls of my seminary, but he was there well before I arrived. But I used to pretend that those carved wooden, the stone steps that were so old that they were worn, I would put my foot down and I would go, JLA walked here, right? You know, and so he was continuing an echoing impact. But anyway, JLA, he was one who moved our faith from a notion of a free mind of the individual, but to a free church, a community, recognizing that the most important, deepest work we do in exploring the ministry can often be done in community. In this free church, like in any other Unitarian Universalist country, a congregation across the land, we gather in this circle of kinship, a circle of trust. Here we find a place where we can speak and we can be heard. This kind of covenant coming together is what makes our shared enterprise a church, a religion. Now, there are many people who might say, I'm spiritual but not religious. I think our coming together is what makes me religious. There are many folks, though, who wouldn't ever set foot in a church, okay? But we recognize there are many kinds of faith communities. It's because community, be it a Muslim mosque or a Buddhist sangha or a pagan coven or a Christian community or a Unitarian Universalist fellowship, offers us the greatest opportunities to explore those mysteries of the Spirit, searching and seeking together. I was privileged this year to attend in person, for the first time in a while, the General Assembly of the Unitarian Universalist congregation, which was in Portland. How many people attended in person? Anybody else here be able to make it to Portland? It was awesome. Wasn't it great to be together? I mean, you think it's cool to have this many people there. Get 1,000 or so UUs together, and there's a pretty divine energy. 3,000 altogether. I was going to get to that. Anybody here join virtually? Because there were 2,000 people across the land who attended General Assembly virtually. So 3,000 of us all together, but 1,000 of us in the room. At this congregation, and as this congregation and 1,000 others across UU communities discovered these in these times, neither going to church or going to General Assembly requires one to set foot in any particular building. At the GA Sunday worship, the Reverend Sean Neil Barron asked the question, why church? He framed that broader question of church in the more traditional question, more practical questions his friends would often ask him. They'd come up to him and they'd go, Sean, why do you go to church? He says that they stopped asking quite so frequently after he became a minister. And yet the question still echoes. In our increasingly secular world and country, where decreasing numbers of Americans attend religious services, such a question rises to the surface more frequently. Why do you go to church? In a time when more people log into the church of the National Football League or the church of the National Basketball Association or Major League Baseball or NASCAR, or perhaps in our region, the church of the canoe, or the church of the kayak, or the church of the fishing rod, or the church of the windswept beach or wooded trail? Why do some of us still choose to go to church? Many stay far away from anything called church. For others, and that's the reality of those who have been damaged, perhaps by experiences in a childhood churches. That was my reality as one growing up as a Nazarene, the right wing of the Methodist movement. Church was not someplace I necessarily wanted to go for a number of years. For the others, especially some of our progressive and extremely rational friends, it's because the only church they know about is a doctrinarian church that calls one to measure up, to measure oneself against externally established standards of piety and conformity. A creedal church that says, this is what you believe, because I believe it, right? You're not at that kind of church today, are we? Or perhaps for some of our friends, church seems to be dominated by the religious right, wherein doing what their narrow theology says is right supersedes the rights of others, whether that be a woman's right to choose or gay, transgender, and non-binary people's right to live the life that they are called to. Unfortunately, many of our friends and neighbors know not of the free church, where rather than enforcing creedal and behavioral conformity, protects against that idolatry of any human claim to absolute truth or authority. All of you who may be looking at the recording today or have gathered in this sanctuary have chosen to spend your time in something we call church. And sometimes our friends and our family simply ask us, why do you go to church? So, for years, Sean said his friends asked him, why do you go to church? And he still asks himself, why church? As he describes it, church is the place that has broken my heart more times than any other. The beauty of its potential often obscured by the reality that churches are human, not utopian endeavors. Human, not utopian endeavors. Indeed, church is a very human endeavor filled with human vulnerabilities and foibles and failures, along with the hope and the love. In our free church, authority, as J.L. Lane named it, rests with that prophethood of all believers, not a higher authority, be it an institutional hierarchy or divine power. Sometimes, though, it seems as that these human foibles are even more interwoven in the failure of our liberal, more humanist faith. Reverend Sean shares that every church I have ever been part of has never been exactly who they claim to be, and never been exactly who I wanted them to be, and never exactly been who I needed them to be. And so he asks himself, why do I go to church? He goes on then to lift up the painful reality of clergy misbehavior, whether it comes from making heartfelt errors or seeking retribution or the inappropriate use of power. He spoke too of the unfortunate reality within our beloved communities of people who can be difficult and challenging, whose communication style or habits or ingrained ways of being can rub him the wrong way, can, as he described it, grate like sandpaper. Yet he reports such rough and scratchy and grating contacts can be just what he needs to smooth out his rough edges. Why do I go to church? Why do you go to church? Why did you put so much energy into this vessel, this space called church? The longer you stay in church, Reverend Sean reports, the more grief you accumulate. Grief for what at some point in the past was your church. grief for members and ministers and friends who have gone away, some choosing to no longer go to this church or to any church. There is, too, the grief for those who have died. While he notes that witnessing the joy of new faces, got plenty of that this morning. Those new faces gathering in new shiny spaces can help offset such losses. From time to time we look around, either in the sanctuary or on the participants' view in a Zoom login, and we realize that the church one joined 2 years or 5 years or 10 or 20 or more years ago is not the church we are part of today. The change to multi-platform or Zoom and YouTube church was for many an unacceptable change. And even when we come together in person, wearing masks and choosing to offer and receive fewer hugs is just not the same as it was. What we experience in church, whether we call it community or church, fellowship or congregation, is not and never will be the same as it was. And that is both a challenge and a joy. The church you're attending or logging into is different in numerous ways from the church you joined in the first place. So much changes. Membership and music and ministry and the messages shared here. Some changes are intentional and forward-looking, like your recent expansion and refurbishing of this space, or the Eugene Church's decision about a decade ago to move to an entirely new building and leave behind the beloved sanctuary in the South Hills and the Oak Grove to move closer to town. And yet, it's still church. In the midst of all these changes, the question of why we go to church takes on new meanings and results in a multitude of answers. In our free church, our non-creedal church, where revelation is ongoing and we in our views are continually changing and growing, the answer to why church is also with time changing. Within our hearts and minds of each of us, who choose to join in as passengers or participants on this journey of the Pilgrim Church, traveling on a way at JLA called An Adventure of the Spirit, Fellow Travelers. Reverend Sean suggests that there are a multitude of answers to that question of why church, and that they are like stars forming constellations. Let me start that again. Like stars forming constellations guiding us in every season of life. Like stars forming constellations guiding us in every season of life. Guiding us perhaps towards our own true north. Pointing us towards a pathway that can lead to our being the person we truly long to be. And collectively, perhaps helping us, point us towards determining how we can help each other on this adventure of the Spirit. Why church? Because church. Why church? Because church. Because church is the place, the community, the gathering where we willingly bring our longings, our successes, and our vulnerabilities. It's where we come to be in person or virtually to be fed and to feed the souls of each other. Here we bring our joys and our concerns. Here we admit our failings and discover new talents and capabilities, most especially that continuing capacity for change and transformation. In a church community, we take comfort in knowing that as we face the obstacles that come with daily living, and as we ponder the questions and the mysteries of life, we do not do it alone. Why church? Because church. Because when we open our minds and hearts to the potential, this place, this gathering, this institution offers the opportunity for love to become real, to be practiced, to be given, and to be received. Church is a kind of laboratory of the Spirit where experimentation in the art and craft of loving is the work we do here. In church, we find a special kind of beloving that says, you are part of an unfolding story, the end, which has yet to be written. Where each of us is individuals and all of us on a quest, a pilgrim, seeking to find love and meaning and deep peace. Sometimes we find we have been part of something, of sometimes miraculous transformation. A group of individuals becomes a community. And we too are transformed, and we find we have learned to be more heartfelt and loving. And you need not travel towards transformation alone, for you have a people. We have a people. We have shared rituals and traditions, shared history, shared ancestors, shared successes, and shared longings yet to be fulfilled. Here in this free church, individuals come together to become a trusting and caring fellowship. Here, with integrity and freedom, we are able to deconstruct rigid traditions, and so doing, give rise to newer and broader and more inclusive fellowship. In these times, in person and virtual gatherings, we affirm that church was never truly just a place, but that church has always been about its people. I invite you to do a little exercise some of you may remember of bringing your things together like this. All right? Some of you remember this. Here's the church. Here's the steeple. Open the doors and see all the people. The people. The people are the church. Eugene's new large building, this new sweet space, are merely the containers. Okay? The church is the people. And maybe in our times, if there is a steeple, it's a cell phone tower. Right, to better send our messages out there into the world, a world that is bruised and hurting and needs the healing message we can share. In sending such messages and such loves into the world, we affirm that the wind, the spirit, the breath of life blows before it, the wind of change, and maketh all things new. I want to wrap up this morning with the closing words Reverend Sean shared at General Assembly. What church can do, he said, what church can do is to make love tangible, not theoretical, joining us together in one body in church. To make love tangible, not theoretical, together in one body. May we, all of us together, make it so. Amen and blessed be.
Thank you so much, Reverend Dennis. Let's see here. Oh, we have our final hymn. Do we have our final hymn today? Yeah. Oh, the offering before. Thank you.
You got to raise the money.
Yes, right. I'm so happy you're here today. All right. Our community partner for July and August is Food Backpacks for Kids in Florence and Mapleton. This is the last Sunday we'll be collecting your donations for this wonderful organization. Generosity is one of the spiritual values we recognize as central to our personal and our institutional well-being. You are now invited to participate in the blessing of giving. Please remember that all our lives we are in need, and others are in need of us. For those viewing our recording, if you would like to contribute to FOOF or our community partner, you can check you can send a check payable to FOOF, or Backpacks for Kids, P.O. Box 2502, Florence, or click on the website Donate button. As we pass this around, one side is the Unitarian. This is for us, of course, FOOF, and the other is Food Backpacks for Kids. And if you'll repeat after me, divine love through me,
divine love through me,
blesses and multiplies all that I am,
blesses and multiplies all that I am,
all that I give and all that I receive.
all that I give and all that I receive.
We are prosperous now.
We are prosperous now.
Blessed be.
Blessed be.
Who is doing the, okay, oh, on one side or the other. Brooke, will you take that side? Karen will take the other side.
Do you want to do the middle, or do you want me to do the middle? You did that side? I'll do that.
Okay.
Here, let's start over here.
Again, logistics for this new room. We'll get it.
Oh, okay. Oh, now we've got aisles. Oh my God. We've got aisles.
Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you for that beautiful music. Jeff, I don't have the title. What is the title? Tell me the title of your music. No? Just your beautiful music. All right. Thank you so much. So much.
The title is a mystery.
Ah, yes. Yes. Okay, I'm going to invite Xana again up here to extinguish our chalice. Oh, we have one more. Oh, thank you, thank you.
Where's our unchoir?
Okay,
Let's get our unchoir up here.
all righty. It is number 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place, in the Teal Book.
For eyes and body are in spirit.
Rise if you are able.
You want to do it over here? Yeah. Well, let's grab the other mic.
One.
Here, two of you.
Oh, there you go.
I
Okay.
can't turn the page.
Okay.
I can do it.
I'll hold it.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, when we place our faces in each other's eyes, then our hearts are in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God in our hearts stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place. Right on.
Thank you, singers, and thank you, all of you, for trying a new song. So now Xana will extinguish our chalice. As I share these words, be true, be well, be loving, by Cynthia Landrum, we leave this gathered community, but we don't leave our connection, our concerns, our care for each other. Our service to each other, to the world, and to our faith continues. Until we are together again, friends, be strong, be well, be true, and be loving. And now Reverend Dennis will give us our final benediction.
The words of benediction I'd like to share this morning for another 19th century Unitarian, Theodore Parker. Be ours a religion which, like sunshine, goes everywhere. Its temple, all space. Its shrine, the good heart. Its creed, all truth. Its ritual, works of love. Its profession of faith, divine living. May we live our individual and our shared lives with truth and in love. Salam, shalom, amen, and blessed be.
And finally, let's see here. Well, we've completed our first Sunday service in our new renewed home. Woohoo! Yes. Please stay for refreshments afterward in our new cafe. Boy, and that's really new. I mean, if any of you saw that before, wow, what a difference, what a difference. And if you'll join Reverend Dennis, are you willing to do a circle afterward in the library? If you have any questions or anything you would like to know, he will be in our library for a circle afterward. And right now, let's rise and form a big circle and sing once again the peace song. The words are on the back of your service. Hold hands if you like, or touch elbows or arms, whatever. Wow, look at this.
I think we need to expand it.
I know.
You're going to need a bigger
I know.